Hello, good evening. Welcome. Likutey Moharan Shir, a Wednesday night at 8. So let's do a little review here to very, shortly sort of encapsulate whatever it is that we went through until now. After we have explained that there is a thing called the seal, which is made, it's produced by the Mochichei Ador, the admonishers of the society, of generation. And with this seal, they protect the Gzar Din, the judgment that has been decreed in the Shemayim, to make sure that it's protected from the Chitzonim. These are the klipos that are outside. Now, and when this seal, Chas v'Chalila, gets spoiled, get corrupted, get damaged, that causes exiles and probably wars and disputes in the world. Now, there's also this is called the inner seal. That's like the heart. There's also an outer seal that guards the inner seal, that protects the inner seal. It's almost like an electric wire that has, isolations around it. There are few layers of isolation. That the outer layer is protecting the inner layer, so it doesn't get to the live wire inside. And the thing that creates that outer layer, this protection to the protection, it becomes into being when people receive the musar, they receive the rebuke, the correction from the Mochichei Ador. They receive it out of Emunah. We said that obviously, if you don't believe that whoever it is that is giving you musar has your best intention in mind, you're not going to receive his musar. If somebody comes to you and says, listen, you did this and this wrong. And if you're not sure that this person has your best interest in mind, you tell them, yeah, what about you? Who the heck are you to tell me what to do? Have you fixed yourself completely before you come trying to fix me? And, before you take a look at me, I should take a look at yourself, and so forth and so on. But when you have emunah that the person that is giving you the rebuke, that corrects you, has your own best interest in mind. I don't know, if a person is making a chasana, right? And he's there and everything's ready, and is waiting for the people to come. And his collar happens to be, coming outside of his beketcher. Okay, just sticking up. His best friend comes to him and says, listen, fix your collar. What is he going to tell the other person? Yeah, what about you? Look the way you look. Who the heck do you think you are? He says, okay, it's my friend. He's telling me, my collar's sticking up. I'll just put the collar down. You have to have emunah to receive a rebuke from someone. A, you have to have emunah that they have your own best interest in mind. And B, you have to have emunah that they know what they're talking about. And the greater your emunah that they want the best for you, and that they really know what's going on, the more apt you are to actually receive the rebuke from them and take it seriously. And not just take it serious, but actually be happy that they're telling this to you, because this is helping you. This is your best interest. And we also said that it's possible that the reason why you have to go through so much to get that emunah, as we're going to explain now, is because the inner seal means that the Mochicha don't have to conceal the judgments, the din Torah, they have to conceal it all the way down, as well as when they give out the Musar. When they tell the people, that they're not behaving the way they should, even then they have to hide it. They have to make sure that the Chitzonim are not going to siphon from, to suck from that. Which means possibly that when they tell you what you're doing wrong, the fact that you're doing wrong, and that you're really, really doing this wrong, and they have to do it in such a way that it's not obvious that there is a great judgment pending. Because it's critical that it's being hidden. The more sensitized you are, the more emunah you have in them, the more open you are to read between the lines, the more sensitive you are to the fact that they don't have to spell it out for you. Like, if you have a emunah in somebody's kedusha, you believe in his ways. You know that he has been working on himself for years and years and years. And you trust him implicitly. When you speak to him and you say something and suddenly he becomes upset with you, you don't get your dander up and like say, oh, who the heck is he? I mean, I have feelings too. What's going on? But because you have emunah in his kedusha, you have total trust in that. You realize that this is a great favor for you. He's teaching you a great lesson. He's doing you a great favor by that. They used to say that when somebody would come to Rav Ovadia Yosef, and when he would slap them in the face, that would be a very good sign. A very good thing. When somebody as holy as that, slaps them, he sweetens, he ameliorates judgments from them. I remember that not long ago, I called my Rav, which I know for about 45 years. And I mean, I've been in contact, with him all that time. And I know that he's as straight as an arrow. That There's nothing before his eyes besides Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Torah, Rabbeinu. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. In Torah 17, we learn that the tzaddikim always are looking for what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted when he created every single thing in the world. What do you want about creating the entire world? Different parts in the world, to the tiniest details. Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted it dafka like that? And then the Rebbeinu says that the reason, the way that the tzaddik finds out what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted, every single detail in creation, is through discovering what kind of pride HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes in Am Yisrael. In totality, total, in every single Jew by himself, and every single limb of a Jew. And he said the two correspond because the world was created for Am Yisrael. So every pride HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes in Am Yisrael, in general, in the macro, in the micro, corresponds to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu created. This is what he wanted when he created the world. And once he says that, when the tzaddik reveals the glory that HaKadosh Baruch Hu glorifies with every Jew, with Am Yisrael, total person, detail, he says that exposes the glory of Hashem in creation. That exposure creates a yira in all of creation, from the malachim all the way down to people, and and that leads to a revelation of love, because when the king, is glorified and everybody's like, creeping and crawling all around, and then the king shows them, his grace, and he gives everybody gifts, whatever it is. This is the hovering year, and that's the tachlis. This is the whole exercise. The point of the whole exercise is to be megala the yira and the ahava, which is a result of the revelation of how HaKadosh Baruch Hu glorifies with Am Yisrael. So comes a question. It's not my question. It's a question of the Biur Likutey. Why not go straight to that? Why do you have to go? Why HaKadosh Tadic wants to know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu created different things in the world? Why created it that way? And the way to get it is through, discovering how HaKadosh Baruch Hu glorifies with Am Yisrael. That's the tachlis. The tachlis is to give the world yira and ahava, which can only get through, revelation of the glory of Hashem, by glorifying by the Jews. So it seems like discovering what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted in creation seems to be a side thing. It's not. This is not the main thrust. Why? This is because Rabbeinu starts dafka with that. In fact, we can say that in this Torah that we also have something like that. The main thing is that the tzaddik, the main job of the tzaddik is, to solve the dissonance between what Am Yisrael, how Am Yisrael behaves, and what Kodesh Baruch Hu, judges them. To make sure that, but the Kodesh Baruch Hu, it's a small thing. Am Yisrael, wow, what we did, and that way, this is sort of like, decreases, the heavenly judgments. That supposedly is the title of the whole thing. The seal around it seems to be just like, what's the main thing in an electric wire? The copper wire, the live wire, or the isolation around it. Obviously, you cannot have the live wire without isolation around it. But the main thing is the inner wire. The isolation comes to serve the inner wire. So seemingly, here we have exactly the same problem. But it says you should know there's isolation. What's isolation for? Because inside, so it seems like that's why do we need to go from desolation? Which says that, listen, say there's a judgment. These tzaddikim say, and it has to be isolated. But no, Abinu starts from the isolation. It doesn't start from the judgment. It doesn't start from this very sensitive live wire inside. Same thing in that 17. So Biur Likutey, which is the most profound and complex biur of the Likutey Moharan, is very difficult to understand. In fact, I mean, the Biur Likutey actually invented a whole language in order to explain the Likutey Moharan. And it's a language not of definition. Like, what do you do with language? You define, you're saying words, and the words define what you mean to say. But it's a language of pointing to. In other words, he's not even saying what the things are. They're pointing to something very, very complicated. You have to get used to this language. Very hard to understand. So he asked this question about Torah 17, and he gives an answer. So when I looked at the Biur Likutey, I couldn't really grasp what explanation was. So I called my Rav and I asked him, why is that? Why is this coming from? And my Rav got upset. And he said to me, is it not enough for you that revealing to you what the tzaddik can do? You also want to understand. Now, when you look at the face of it, you said, like, what kind of an answer is this? I said, it's not my question. The Biur Likutey asks this. So he said, the Biur Likutey has an explanation for this. If he has a question, he has an explanation for this. What are you putting your head in there? But the truth is that by accepting the fact that he was upset, I understood something about myself. It was a reflection of where I am actually holding. Suddenly, I think that I understand things. Likutey Moharan, I can ask kashas. What the heck are you talking about? You're lucky that these things are being revealed to you. Find out what it is that you need to do from the Likutey Moharan that you're learning. Suddenly you become Mr. Big Shot. Now you're asking kashas in the Likutey Moharan. It's not something which is, you can say, okay, so nobody should ask any questions about the Likutey Moharan. That the Biur Likutey shouldn't have asked it to begin with. No. This is not, the message was for me. When my Rav told me, is it not good enough for you that they tell you what tzaddikim do? There's no other sefer in the world that tell you what the tzaddikim actually do. None. See, this Chabad is holy and exalted as it is, never talks about what the tzaddik does. It explains different things, Kabbalah, whatever it is, but it does not tell you what the tzaddik does. The Noam Melech says what the tzaddik does, but in such a covert manner that it's impossible to understand. unless, of course, you're a huge tzaddik. The Likutey Moharan is the only one that openly tells you what the tzaddik is actually doing. It gave me a perspective about who I am, where I'm really holding. This is, what does it mean where I'm really holding? We learned, if you remember, in Torah Chafalef, we learned that, that the 7 candles, there are 7 times 7, and the last 7 is the 7 candles as they came to perfection through Moshe Rabbeinu. So the mouth was perfected by us. The mouth is, keep yourself from saying a lie. By Moshe Rabbeinu is pale pe'adaber, but mouth to mouth, I'm going to speak to him. And so forth and so on. And when it comes to the eyes, by us, in the very first explanation of the 7 candles, and we get to the eyes, Rabbeinu says, shut your eyes from seeing bad, from seeing evil. By Moshe Rabbeinu, the eyes are Tmunas Hashem Yabit. He sees the image of Hashem before him. He's gazing upon Hashem, upon the image of Hashem. So we explain it, and he also explains it in great depth. It's not just that Moshe Rabbeinu is getting a compliment. You know how great he was. He could see Hashem. Wow. Which is, of course, true. But there's something which we need to learn from that. And we said, seeing and gazing upon Hashem, looking at Hashem, utmunas Hashem yabit, it means don't look at things which are inappropriate for you to look at, things that are below you. And don't look above your station either. Don't live in fantasy land. Just look straight. That means you're looking at the Kadosh Baruch Hu, at your level. What am I supposed to see here? What am I supposed to look at here? And Reb Nosson says, if you do this at all times, you will keep on climbing and climbing and climbing, and you'll get to all the madrigas in the world. In the koich of the tzaddik, you get to all the madrigas. The reason why people fall off the ladder or fall off the wagon is either because they look at things they shouldn't, because it's evil, because it's these are bad things. Either women or movies or whatever, or sports games or whatever it is, it's beneath you. Don't look at things which are beneath you. And don't look at things that are above you. I'm already learning, I'm learning Kabbalah, I'm learning all these things, it's like why am I looking at that? Because I don't get satisfaction from doing the things that I should be doing, which is looking straight. This is what I got from the fact that my Rav got upset with me. The only way I could get that is through having emunah in him. A, that he wants what's best for me, and B, that it's not even a question of whether he delves into and, how shall I say it, analyzes me. And say, I'm holding it at Madrega. I'm not holding it at Madrega. He is connected to Torah all the time. So whatever comes from his mouth, his reaction is the Torah reaction. And it is through this emunah that I have in his sanctity and in his intentions, obviously, that I'm able to receive the Musar. I don't have to find out what it is. If I just believe that he was just, okay, he's somebody, he's a smart guy, he's learning Torah, whatever it is, and he's coming getting upset with me. What are you getting upset with me for? What's going on with you? So this is the Chosem HaChitzon. This is the outer seal that we spoke about. And this is that. How do you get this emunah? How do you get this kind of emunah which will enable you to understand what Moshiach Hador are really trying to tell you? It says this is, and this emunah you get from the 7 shepherds of the generation. Their job is to cultivate emunah. If the emunah is not there, chas v'chalila, there are exiles. Chas v'chalila, there are wars. And chas v'chalila, there's heresies. There's emunas kozvius. It's kfiras, opposite of emunah. But from those shepherds of generation, you can get emunah, which is not just that you believe that Hashem exists, which is a great thing in and on itself. And it's not just that you believe that Torah is true, which obviously is a great thing. And it's not just that you believe that whatever Torah says you need to do, which obviously is a great thing. But you believe that there's no such thing as reality without a Kadosh Baruch Hu in it. There's no such thing as, okay, now I'm watching a ball game. Kadosh Baruch Hu is just standing aside, and I'm watching a ball game. There's no such thing. Kadosh Baruch Hu is everywhere all the time in my life. In every thought, in every speech, or in every deed. And when I'm losing sight of that, I need to be corrected. I need to be brought back to my senses. The only way this can happen is if I get the Musar from the Moshiach Hador. The only way I can get this Musar is if I have the kind of emunah that is necessary to be able to understand what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is not what it looks like. Ultimately, more than anything, feelings are not facts. Just because something feels bad doesn't mean that it is bad. Needless to say, just because something feels good doesn't mean that it is good. Yeah, but I'm a human being. I come from feeling kind of. Feeling is a very coarse measuring stick for what is right and what is wrong. Unless, of course, you're so clean that your feelings are already the right. This is when the emunah, as we said later on, the neshama already shines into the body. The body becomes sensitized. And what the body feels already, that's what the truth is. So, okay, the only way that you can actually get to those shepherds that cultivate the emunah is if you're bold. Boldness, the kedusha. There's boldness, the kedusha. There's boldness, it's achra. Boldness means that you want things in this world that are not coming to you. Boldness the Kedusha means that you want closeness to akatoshvara and to Tadic, even though you don't deserve it. And you are very bold about it. Because there are hurdles. There are hurdles, are all kinds of tyrants and despots and dictators that are standing in the way. They are the opposite of the shepherds of the generation. They don't cultivate emunah, they cultivate epicorsis. They cultivate their own honor. Look at me. I'm Mr. Big. You better respect me. They are blocking your way. And, I'm being meek, I don't want, I don't stop with them, whatever. No, you have to be bold. You have to say, I don't care what you say. I'm going all the way to the Tadic canvas. I'm going from Achin Shador through Azad the Kedusha. Now we said, in order to actually crack the boldness of the body, B'chlav B'frat, so that my neshama can shine to me, can sensitize my body. And we said it's the same thing, the same kind of relationship exists between the tzaddik and the people. The tzaddik apchin is the body, and the tzaddik is the neshama, is supposed to shine to them. But there are obstacles. There's the coarseness of the body, which corresponds to the coarseness of these despots and tyrants that are holding you between you and the seven shepherds. You have to break the obtuseness, the toughness, the crudeness, the olam hazadik hashkafa of the body. And the way that you do this is through voices of Kedusha. Voices of Kedusha is a sigh. It's a crying out to Hashem. It's singing, whether in shul or by the Shabbos table. And you have to hear the voice of the Chacham. That is also a voice of Azaz that breaks the Azaz Aguf. Because the body ultimately has to be a flesh for the essence. In other words, to be soft, it has to be malleable by the etzem, by your neshama. Same way that you have to be receptive and sensitized to the tzaddik, to receive his light. Otherwise, you're not even hearing him. Reverberations of it. The reverberations that come out from your own ears. And this, Be'ezrat Hashem, all this will get us in Yetz Hashem to the next stage, which will tell us, that the way to get all this is with simcha. We're not going to get into this in this year because, as usual, I went off a tangent. But the next thing that we're going to learn is that the key that opens the whole thing, that starts the whole thing, is being b'simcha. Yisrael simcha feldbaum. You see, he already knows. He has it already embedded in his name. So we will learn what simcha is, how you get into simcha, the whole process. It's a whole thing of its own. This is a huge Torah, very big, with a lot of different moving parts going on. So, B'ezrat Hashem, we're taking it one step at a time. We are repeating stuff. We're going over stuff again and again. And B'ezrat Hashem, the main thing is that we should be able to ultimately get to the point that we hear it. We break down this toughness of the body. We hear it. We have Azus the Kedusha. We hear the Chacham. We get to the Royador. We get the Emunah. We construct the outer seal that protects the inner seal. So we're able to get the Musar from Mochichi Ador. Ultimately, it ameliorates the harsh judgments that Hashem always should hear. There's only good news and simcha, and kol tov. I just want to, let me just stop this.